Hey, beautiful people. I am back doing another reading. This time I mentioned in the last reading that we were going to start venturing into the elements. And by that, what I mean is we're going to actually, the way that you resonate with this is one, if the title resonates with you. But also, I feel like instead of doing zodiac signs, because you have so many different avenues in which that can actually pertain to you. You have your sun, moon, rising, Venus, Jupiter that you could be looking at. You have different types of charts. The Vedic sidereal, you have the tropical, you have different ways of utilizing that. But the thing that I think that some of us, and also like sometimes we take on attributes from the sign in which we are currently in, which may have nothing to do with our charts, but we begin to feel and really exhibit some of those attributes, and that can impact how we are interacting in our daily life, how we are processing things. So the way that I see it is there's an element that you are drawn to. Also, if you were to, this is like the four elements are scattered throughout many of the different traditions and beliefs, Native American, shamanic beliefs. And so I feel like, astrology, even within the tarot. And so really, and I call myself water woman because while there may be one water sign in my entire chart, the magic of water has done so much for me. And I've also noticed that when I'm in a tough place, I like pipes burst, and different anomalies will happen when it comes to water. Whenever I am at a crossroads, or it's something where I draw it to me, because water, that particular element, really does a lot for my gifts. And so, not that I'm always operating out of that mode, but I know that what element you are drawn to is going to be different based upon the phase, cycle that you're in within your life, your ascension process, your expansion, just your astrological signs. So what I want you to do is actually just feel into what element, earth, wind, fire, water, you are feeling more drawn to. And that's kind of how I want to do these readings. And so in individuals that are really being drawn to fire or to water, then obviously you all get grouped together, and the message is going to be for you all. And so I just want to do it a little bit different. I know that there's so many different ways to do this. This is how I choose to do it. I feel like this suits better the way that I read, and then of course also how I tap into the collective. And so that's what we're going to do. Okay. And if you hear noise and everything else like that, I do help out with, at this point in time, my elderly parents. And so right now they have somebody helping out with them upstairs. That's just why I can go ahead and get this reading done. All right, so we're going to start out with the Starman Tarot. I was so pulled in, and I know that I usually use my tried and true, which is the Sacred Tarot. And I've got plenty of decks that will end up being used, but I feel like the element, and I want to say that I'm just so partial to water, but the element we're going to start with today is fire. It just came in loud and clear. So we're going to see what we can actually get. I already did my prayer, and so we're going to just go ahead. I did a little bit of shuffling beforehand, or yeah. And so we're going to go ahead and do this right now. Woo! If this is any indication of how this reading is going to go, not shit coming out my mouth. Okay, we got this. We got this. All right. Okay. I'm not really sure how we're going to proceed after this. And I know that some people just keep going with the decks. I tend to just whatever Spirit guides me to do is what I do. So it's not ever going to look the same, or I might go into cycles where the way that I draw cards is just going to be different, or how I do my spreads. I don't do the whole 3 here, 3 here, 3 there, unless I'm drawn to it, which is usually never. And the cards usually tell me a story. So just also as a disclaimer, I don't know why I feel the need that I need to say this again. But if you've watched any of my other readings, you know I cuss like a sailor. If it's not your shtick, go ahead and click off. That's okay. Plenty of readers out there that are actually fabulous. I do channel with this, so sometimes the message that comes through does not even match the card. I don't know why. It's just whatever they tell me. Well, not the traditional meaning, let's put it that way. And so I go with whatever they're showing me. And sometimes it's straight up from the cards. It's just whatever they send my way. So, all right. I will be setting up more readings where detail specific also. These are just announcements right now. So that you can actually, if there's any that you want to purchase, I will be putting information in on that as well. You can also follow me on Instagram, Waterwoman Sacred Hotto. I've complained about how I set that up on Instagram because I have underscore. So, but I'm sure if you just type in Waterwoman Sacred Hotto, you'll find me. All right, one more time. All right. My Spirit, pulling in the element of fire right now. Tell me, show me, what message do you have for those who are being drawn to the element of fire? What message do you have for those drawn to the element of fire? The Two of Swords. What message do we have for the element of fire? I heard something's dying off. Something's dying off. The Sun. Woo! Okay, I'm going to keep going. I feel like I need to keep going. Okay. 4 Swords. Give me one more, Spirit. One more. All right. One more, Spirit. What message do you have for the element of fire? Good God. All right. That's too many. We're not going there. Oh, somebody. When you are short as shit, let me tell you what. Oh. Okay. All right. Not doing that. Woo, doggy. Slipping and sliding every which way, ain't it? All right. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going here. Narrow it down for me. I hear splitting off. Roots. Keeping the roots. Roots that are rooted in you. Okay. Burning off. Nine of Pentacles. All right, let's get into this. Okay, I want y'all to see this. This Ten of Swords. Again, this is the Starman Tarot. If you notice the roots down here. Okay, we're just gonna have to get up here. There's roots down here, and it is this core. And from this core, you have two things that are splitting off. Two parts of the self. One of which appears to be is surviving and is being pierced in the heart. It's almost as if there's this message or this power, this being that is literally just electrifying your heart, giving life, new life. This other one is dying. It's dying off. Both coming from foundations. One is like rooted in all of the old self, all of the old programming and karmic bullshit. And by karmic, what I mean is not the frou-frou way that some people believe in karma. Like, oh, it's going to bite you in the ass kind of thing. You know, and I'm assuming many of you all already understand, but karma is really the energy that you've placed out and that you've brought back in, and that which you've held on to instead of working through. So yes, you can bring energy and understanding and trauma from past lifetimes or from this lifetime. And so this is really a lot of that dying off right here. And this is the new self being born. The roots are different. It's almost as if coming from the same being, you know, the same soul. And so there's just something about that there's planting new roots. But they're not new. That's why okay, hold on, Spirit. What are you there? It's almost like the roots that no longer serve, that don't bring in the nutrients that you need. But there's also this combining of the two as well into one. It reminds me of like the shadow aspect and the, you know, like the wounded self and the one that is healed, the one that's expanded. The one that is working through their traumas. And so there's this merriment of the two. They're both a part of the same being, okay? But it's almost as if any of the roots that prevented you from growing and expanding, I mean, if anybody gardens, you know that there's sometimes roots can get damaged, tainted, infested, and they no longer pull in what the plant needs. And so those are dying off. There's something about that dying off, and that's really what's killing all this off. So all the things that fed this is now being taken away. But it's not something where it looks like it's being split off. However, they're still part of the same being. Okay, so all the lessons and the knowledge that you got from that is actually still going to stay with you, and it is going to be incorporated as a part of the shadow self. Okay, so this can feel kind of, it feels like this is a little bit more past and present. I know that sounds really weird. So it's almost like the majority of this has occurred in the past. You're in a place where like the last bits are kind of dying off, and if you notice, there's this reaching for one another. There's this feeling of nostalgia, almost like, but that's a part of me. There's a story I want to tell you. When I did a lot of my healing, I kind of, it culminated and reached a pinnacle, a peak, we'll say, when I chose to take a what we call a selling activation. Wonderful leaders, Antonina Andreeva and Paula Burt. These women facilitate some big powerhouse healing and help women to usher in, not just women. I don't want to say that, but on this particular expedition, it was a group of women, and we went to the Scillian Islands. Am I saying that right? Aeolian Islands. Like the island of Volcano, and things like that. So we actually climbed 2 volcanoes, and at the top of one of them, I had a stone that I had used the entire time during the major portions of my healing, and kind of did this ritual, this saying goodbye and throwing. It was an obsidian, obviously comes from a volcano, and it was kind of like throwing it back to the ethers, really, to its origination. And so I had so wanted to get rid of that piece of me that I had felt died off. I had so wanted to get rid of the piece of me that kept me in purgatory, that really I felt wasn't who I was, and was like a damaged piece. But by the time I reached the place where I was ready to say goodbye to the old me, I felt so emotional, and I didn't want to say goodbye. She had gotten me through so much in my life. She had walked me down some of the darkest valleys. She helped me to survive in ways that at the time felt torturous, but are probably the only way that I could have. I remember crying and feeling like I don't want to say goodbye to her. And realized in that moment that it was the old way of being, but that I never was really giving her up. She was going to show up for me differently. A lot of that shadow work that I did, it is a part of how I am now. It's understanding that duality that exists, and no longer separating, splitting, and dividing those pieces off. It's really about becoming whole. And so in this process, you feel the two happening, but you're really still apart. And it can feel excruciating during this process. Even at the very end, it can be just so difficult to let go. But understand, letting go is really about surrendering. Surrendering is about being open to receive. Surrendering is not giving over control. At any point, you always have control. In fact, the fact that you are able to choose to surrender means that you have control. You have your power. And so while you may be feeling this way, know that this actually leads to the best card in the deck, which is the sun card. And that's when they're showing me things being burned off. Like all of these limitations and obstacles and different things that are being burned off, and really allowing you to shine. This is almost as if I'm seeing light from the universe, from various sources in the universe, just kind of traveling down and being incorporated into your being. This lights up places, like hidden nooks and crannies within your being that you neglected to even explore previously, that you realize are the pieces to that puzzle that you're needing for this new path that you're choosing. And so it's as if all that you're not by surrendering, you allow those things that you don't need to burn away, and like a phoenix, you rise. You come back out of this with a knowledge and a new sense of self that can't be touched by others. Let's see here. There's also something about really needing to take care of yourself during this time frame. This is the Four of Swords. And it's really about fanning that flame. There's something about that spark that gets put inside of you, but fanning that flame, running the energy through your body. And a lot of times what we need to do to really focus on that, people will suggest things like meditation. They can suggest things like, let's see here, Kundalini yoga, different types of rituals, sunbathing, moon bathing. There's all kinds of things that help you to keep that new burn going. But it feels as if this is still part of the surrender. To yourself. That's what they're saying. You surrender to yourself. I feel like I usually go all the way through, but I'm needing to clarify a couple of things. Because it feels like they're trying to say something else. And so we're going to use Golden Universal Tarot. Let me get this and see what they're saying to me. Okay. There's a burn in the belly. There's a burn where your sacral chakra is. There's an intake there, and you need to focus. Not your sacral, your solar plexus. My bad. Sorry. They literally just. My bad. I'm so sorry. They're like correcting me. Okay. So. All right. There's something about geometric shapes as well coming into play. Let's see. All right. I'm going to actually clarify the sun really quick and the Four of Swords. I feel like those two are supposed to play in tandem with one another. Fuck me. What? God. Ah, Jesus. Okay. Oh, for the love of God. Oh, for the love of God. Alright, I don't feel like we're supposed to pick those up. Oh, man. Dude. I picked this shit up. I kid you fucking not. I kid you fucking not. And as I'm trying to, one goes like this, me just trying to get everything together, and it's a damn sun card. Like, I shit you not. Okay. Alright, Spirit. Clarify the sun for me. Clarify. Okay. 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 Alright. I'm actually starting to shake. So give me just a moment. Spirit. What are you trying to tell us with the Sun card? Give us more specifics. Help us to understand. Temperance. Oh, shit. Come on now. All right. So the Temperance here, okay, so what came out was Temperance, Six of Wands, and then the Eight of Pentacles. And I'm seeing with Temperance what they're talking about with, I feel like Temperance is more a cross between the Ten of Swords and the Sun. This is the acceptance of your duality. This is the integration of everything. The coming to terms with the loss of the old self and stepping into the new self. Really becoming balanced in your understanding of yourself, in giving credence to all the aspects that make up who you are, rather than separating and dividing. So that's with the cups going back and forth. That's where the balance comes into play. The Sun is really the Six of Swords, where this is pretty a triumphant type of situation. And people are going to be able to begin to recognize some changes within you. Almost very inspiring, and they're actually going to give you accolades for this. This feels more like random, but not random, moments of recognition for just who you are as an individual. Not even something that you've done outside of yourself. Just you seem different. You look different. You you come across different. What have you done? And people paying attention to the things that you say because you're beginning to inspire them. I'm so glad that I ran into you. You said exactly what I needed to hear. People understanding, and it's almost as if like the language that you speak now speaks to people. I don't know if it feels like before you felt very stuck in being able to communicate and connect with others. And it's almost as if it's effortless now where they come and connect with you. So there's this star quality with the Sun on how you begin to connect with other people and how they see you. And with the Eight of Pentacles, it's almost as if what they're saying is, gotcha. So this is all, I'm actually going to lay this on the Four of Swords. The Eight of Pentacles is, I've done all this work. I've built myself up to this place, but this is not, this is not the pinnacle. This is not the peak. This is a peak on a series of mountains that I will be, or volcanoes or whatever else that you're going to be climbing. It's now the real work begins. And work in the sense of let's take away the stigma with that. Work is more of what you're willing to put conscious effort and action into that reflects your alignment and your truth. And so now that you have that and you've done the work to become in this place, how are you going to funnel that? And so there's something special, something very specific of all the things that you've done before. Let's find out. But like, okay, so what they're saying is that flame. Jesus, this is like bouncing off of the one that we had yesterday. It wasn't element reading, but like it was one that I posted yesterday. And so there's special attention that you need to give to something in particular that gets you going on your path. Again, there's all these other options. Let me show you this. I've not been showing you. I apologize. There's all these other options. You see all this other work that you've done. You see all these other things that you can say, this is the path. That's a path. That's a path. That's a path. This is how I can do it. This is how I can show it. This is how I can express this, blah, blah, blah. But you're working on something very in particular, okay? Very in particular. To do so, you really need to stay in that temperance mode. And so they're suggesting that you take the reprieve and you take care of that flame that's inside of you. You take care of that energy center, that's your intuition, your knowing, your core. And so the Four of Swords is really about taking the time that you need, despite feeling like you don't have the time. You don't have the time not to. You're going to waste more time and be stuck by not nurturing and caring for yourself and for your core and your center and your intuition and your spiritual gifts in your soul. If you do not take care of those and make sure that your cup is full and that your energy is fluid and flowing, then you're going to stay stuck way longer than the hour or 2 hours a day that you need to be able to stay centered. How do I say this? Yeah, I mean, you can say that you don't have the time in the day to take the self-care, but they keep saying you don't have time not to. The clock is ticking. You have, there's, the time is now, is what they're saying. And so you really have to allow yourself that time so that you don't get stuck. It's an hour a day or 30 minutes a day or every other day or whatever it is, twice a week, whatever it is that works for you, that keeps you in that space, then that's what you have to do. Otherwise, it's twice a week compared to 10 months of no progress, wondering, did I do all this for nothing? And getting into a negative headspace again. Opening yourself up to psychic attacks and negative energies coming your way. So there's not any time not to do what it is that you need to do to keep your vessel full and flowing. Okay. And so that's how you reach your independence. They keep saying independence. This is the Nine of Pentacles. I just kind of want to show you, there's a spirit here. We're gonna get into this. There's pentacles with the pentagram in the middle of it. There's I want to show you the rabbit, the grapes, the bat. These are all symbols of abundance, but in different forms. Okay. It comes in different forms. And to know that this abundance comes protected. It has... The abundance is really about the independence that you need. God, they just corrected me. Not need. This is the independence that you have. They're saying you have, that you will recognize and have as a result of keeping your cup full. Okay. And it's almost as if keeping your cup full really allows you to gain that balance, to get through the Ten of Wands, or Ten of Swords. I mean, shoot, Ten of Wands. Why is that coming out? To get where you are, where you see the light of day again. But the Four of Swords is also what it is to maintain that. Feels like there's a trajectory. I feel like there's a trajectory of where you need to be, or where you're going. And it's not like there's a destination, but more of a state of being in your existence that they want you to be at. There's a sense of permanence with the Nine of Pentacles. There's an independence where you are not affected or impacted by the things that are around you, and hence why you need to have the Four of Swords. It gives you the ability to work on something and to be in your element. Funny. Okay, I'm going to ask for clarification on the Nine of Pentacles to see what it is that they're trying to tell us here. One more, Spirit, please. Okie dokie. Okay. So here's what they're saying. You know, the self-care piece is something, because they're bringing in something that's specifically from the universe. You've got all of these options here before you, and you know those are not the ones that you're meant to take. Here's the one that's being handed to you by spirit, by the universe, by the collective consciousness, by God, whoever you want to source, whatever. This is your cup, your path, your opportunity, your state of being. And right now, you're kind of you're contemplating it, but you haven't taken the cup yet. Taking care of yourself at this time and really feeling your vessel is what's necessary to maintain the strength. You're going to reach this option that you have, this abundance and this independence that you're about to take, is going to bring in so much your way. What it feels like is it's going to take your conscious effort to stay within what is true for you, based upon a lot of what will be coming in. And so the independence that they're speaking of is the strength to withstand influences that would take you out of your power, out of your truth, out of alignment. Whether that be spirits, negative energy, family members, society, whatever it is, keeping your cup filled, it is your responsibility. It allows you to focus on something very specific and in particular. When I say specific, it's this cup that they're giving you. Okay, but it is going to require strength as well. It is easy to become deterred or human. Let's clarify something here. I don't care how much fucking work you do and how good you get at being and whatever. If you choose to step out of working and filling your cup, you will be susceptible. We talk about shielding and we talk about doing all these things, and I have heard people say before, well, I just don't believe that anything can penetrate me, so it doesn't. Okay. Okay. Well, how much you didn't believe you could be healed. You didn't believe that you could see things from a different perspective, but now you can. So just because you don't believe, and what I find too is when people say that, it actually tends to come from a space of, like they say they don't believe something can, but their energy says otherwise. Let's put it that way. There's a contradictory message there that they're sending out into the universe. And so we're humans. We are in this muggle suit. We are in this filter of an existence. We are not in our original state and form. And so everything gets filtered through, to claim perfection would be like, what's the point of having a human experience then? There is no perfect spirit in a human form. And you may feel as if you're operating at a extremely high frequency, well within your truth and your power for a long period of time, but there will come a point where, much like anybody else, that we are experiencing these things with the emotions and the knowledge and the filter of a human being. And it has a lot to do with the acceptance of the polarities. I'm going to try to say this in the best way possible, but, when everything is all love and light, it is not balanced. If it is all shadows and judgment, blame, shame, and programming and stories, then we're out of balance. This notion that we are always high and we never have lows, that's out of balance. you actually can tailspin by operating too much at this end of the high vibrational, everything is so good, you lose out on the understanding, the connection, and the knowledge and wisdom that comes from the other side of the spectrum. When you lose out on that, just as much as being down here, being up too far up here, actually is what has created the divide that we experience in our existence today. So be loving, understanding, and non-judgmental for yourself when you experience the polarities of this existence and of all the energies, because that is actually you living and honoring and being in balance. Okay? So it's going to take your conscious, it's going to take work, your conscious focus and effort of actions and energy to keep your cup filled so that you can continue to work on what it is that you're really here to do. Be prepared to take the cup. Filling your cup up consistently will allow you to have the strength for everything you fucking asked for what you truly want and desire, for that which is what will make you happy. To have this without this, you'll never reach the Ten of Cups. Okay? One day they're going to get real specific with me, and I'll be able to be like, oh, and this person said this, and da-da-da. But for right now, they really seem to be wanting to hammer home some messages that are really important to the energy of the collective and energy to certain elements. So if you have, and this kind of makes sense, I guess, with the burning desire inside, keeping that flame going, this is for the fire element. I'm not really certain how frequently we'll do the elements, at least monthly, obviously, but I will check in periodically. If you like this, definitely let me know, and I'll explore how we can kind of delve more into the different elements then. But I appreciate you watching, and if you have any suggestions, definitely leave it in the comments. All right, y'all have a fantastic day. Thank you.